Hello and welcome to another episode of Flying High with Flutter. I'm your host, Allenwyma. Today I'm with Alex Tran, who is a software developer who created a very interesting library or project called Immich, which is basically a Google Photos-like clone, which you can host yourself. Welcome, Alex. Why don't you do a quick intro about yourself and we can get started?
Hey, my name is Alex. Alex Tran. I'm based in Omaha, Nebraska, in the United States, and I am a electrical engineer by day and software engineer by night. So during the day, I work on a completely different things than what I do when I'm at home. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for creating this interesting project, right? I think this is the first time I've actually seen this, but you said that there's others out there who have a similar project?
Yep, there's others project that wanted to help people host their own photos, um, but those project doesn't really have a mobile app that can give you an easy way to back up your assets, including video and images. So this is where shine in this application is to have a full mobile app that can back up everything from your mobile phone to the server that you self-hosted, and then you can view it later on your phone.
Yeah, I think that really kind of rounds out the process of Google Photos, right? From me, I think Google Photos is definitely the image, or sorry, the mobile app. Without the mobile app, it's not really Google Photos because like people always take photos with their phone. Nobody's really using a digital camera unless you're very professional, right?
Yeah, nowadays I would say there are less people using camera to take picture because the phone is so convenient, and yeah, so it's just an easy way for me and my wife to uploading pictures of our children since we just had our first kid, and and actually that is the primary goal for me is to save the moment of our child, and then having an interface to look at it later, because if you keep backing up the photo by saving them to the USB, you cannot really see it, right? Maybe once a year that you open up those USB drive and then you look through the pictures. But this help you to save space on your phone and also looking at the pictures.
Now, if Google Photos already works pretty well, right, and they have a mobile app, what was your motivation to create this?
Well, since they changed their pricing, they get rid of the free tier, so you can no longer have unlimited storage. Uh, my my wife, she voiced her concern about having to pay for a long time and then eventually that running out of that you keep having to pay, year by year with the amount of photo that we have. um, then she asked me to build one, and I always like to build something for me, for my family. So this is a good chance for me to build it, so I just jump in and start building.
Wait. So she motivated you, right? It's not self-motivation in this case?
Yeah.
Wow. So she said, "Oh, you're a software developer. You need to do this."
Well, so like being a software developer is to help other people to solve problem, right? And this is a problem that right here, right now, like I always look for a problem to solve. And here, my wife, she brought me a problem, and why not? I have the ability, and then I have the knowledge, so I just jump right in and built it for her. And then after I got the first prototype done, I share it on Reddit, and a lot of people actually is looking for a solution, especially in a self-hosted community. So a lot of people was really give me the encouragement to keep pushing forward and to further develop the app.
So are you actually using this right now?
Yeah, so my wife, she actually using it in production. Um, so now I have a lot of responsibility on my shoulder to ensure the app is running well, and having additional features. Yeah.
Okay, so she's your main customer then,
Yep. Right now, she's my main customer.
and you're a product owner.
Correct. I'm the product owner, the product manager, and also software developer, the dev op as well.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about what kind of features is she requesting, because when I think about Google Photos, it's basically upload, download, and view. Is there any kind of more features that you guys are developing?
So they're actually the searching features. So I try to incorporate the machine learning into the app for object detection, image classification, and eventually, more ambitious goal is to have a facial detection plus facial clustering, because that essentially what you would use when you have hundreds of thousands of pictures. You want to search for a specific moment, a specific event, and so that is the features in the app that some of the features already there. The facial detection is not yet there, and also the share album, the sharing between the user on the server, and then eventually automatically sharing based on an event or based on the pitch, based on the facial detection. So it's grouped them into specific album for that person. So those things are the main features. The other features that other people requesting are like the moment. So it's automatically audit your database and then bring up this time last year or this time 5 years ago. What are you doing? What are the picture? What are the moments?
Oh, okay. I didn't even think about that. I totally forget that Google Photos does group your stuff. Are you also planning to like randomly send out a message saying, "Hey, do you remember 1 year ago?"
Yeah, that is the one of the feature are requested from other people. And since this project is not just primarily the mobile app, it has the server side as well. And also now I'm starting to build the web app. So so those feature will mirror each other from the mobile app and then on the web app as well. So a lot of work to do.
So, what do you actually start with when you're doing the app? Are you starting with maybe developing an iOS or Android? Because you're saying you're starting to develop the website, right?
Uh, no, I actually started with the mobile app. So I started with Flutter because I wanted to test the idea that if I can perform the image upload really fast and also can load the image really fast, since a lot of the problem that some of the self-hosted solution they have is very slow loading speed when you have a timeline of hundreds of thousands of pictures. So when you scroll, it would basically freeze the app. So I want to test that function first. So I started with the mobile app, and Flutter actually performed really well. I did some optimization as well as profiling to see if Flutter used a lot of memory while loading the app. And to my surprise, after it reached a certain amount of RAM usage, it's gonna kick in the garbage collector and then just leveling out even though you scroll up and down of thousands of pictures.
I mean, based on your comment right there, it sounds like you're still maybe quite new to Flutter, or am I wrong?
I would say this is the first serious app that I built with Flutter. Um, I, s- I get to know Flutter in 2018, and I started to play around with some small apps that I use for um, just for side project, but nothing really serious because I wanted to learn different different type of state management. So I learned a cubic, Bloc, and then eventually I landed on Riverpod, and I find it really promising. So that's how I use it for my current project. And yeah, it's a learning experience while developing the app.
Yeah, I see a lot of people are using Riverpod. I've used it once. I don't know, I'm kind of on the fence about it, but I'm really more into Block. But it's good to hear at least you tried it. But it seems like it's hit or miss. It's either half people like it, half people don't like it. I can understand all that, but it seems like no matter what, everybody likes Riverpod. I'm like, okay, it's fine. It's just takes when you're used to like provider like things where you have to put things into a tree. And then you go to Riverpod, which has kind of got like whenever you want to access it, you can access it because of the scoped uh, widget. It just takes some time to get used to it.
Well, I think I like Riverpod because of the low boilerplate code that it used, and it just clicked right away. I think Block is very mature and a lot of people use it, but somehow it doesn't click to me right away like the way that Riverpod does. So I just go with whatever that easier for me to understand so that I can build out the app.
Yeah, I can understand all that. There's a little bit of there's definitely a lot of boilerplate for Block,
Mm-hmm.
creating all the base classes, abstract class, and extending, and yeah, it can definitely be a little bit of annoying. I agree.
Yeah, I try to keep things simple, stupid.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, whatever works for you is fine. So it's interesting always to hear what people think, and I should actually keep a tally of what everybody's using, but I think still Riverpod's beating out most people. So for your backend, right? You're not using Dart, are you?
No, on the back end, I'm using Nest.js. So it's basically, I've heard it's similar to a Java Spring framework, but it's based on Node.js and Express.
Oh, really? Yeah, actually, what I understand about Next.js is it's more like a CMS. If I understand correctly, Next.js is more like a CMS rather than a backend, I would say.
It's not Next.js, it's Nest.js, Nest, not Next. So Next.js is a framework of React, right? And then Nest.js is a framework of Node.js. I have no idea why they choose the name so close.
That is really annoying considering X and S is so close. Yeah, it drive me nuts.
Yeah.
Now I think I remember what you're talking about. Okay, because every time I think about the Next is always the most popular one that I hear about, rather than Nest. But because I thought Express was the thing, so now the flavor this week is Nest.
Um. Well, I mean, to me, it's easier to write. Well, I'm pretty familiar with JavaScript, so and this is a very well structured project you can use to build out your project. So that's why I go with it. It has the predefined structure. It's very uh what is the word? So it keep you to use the same structure just like Angular JS. So with that, it's give you the structure to not having to think about how would you put this file into what folder. Like Flutter, sometimes you have to think about how would you structure your project, right? Like to put into the MVC or MVV, right? Model view controller, MVVC. Yeah. So this just laying out everything that you need to build out your backend API, and essentially that what it is.
Yeah. There's always different patterns, right? I think MVC is usually the biggest one, and then now MVVM. Oh my goodness, that just drive me nuts about the different patterns. I don't know which one's better, which one works better, but I think the most important part is make a pattern that's clear for everybody, especially for newcomers that join. If it's just immediately clear, okay, this goes there, this goes there. That's the most important part. How about speaking of that? How do you structure your Flutter app? Sorry, something you want to say about that topic? You can say it.
Yeah, of course I can. So now Flutter, I split it into features module. Uh, so let's say I have a page called sharing page. So I put the view in there, I put the model in there, and then I have provider to handle all of the state um, management. And then I have, say, yeah, so I have the model, the provider, the services are all the helper class, and then all of the actual logic, the business logic of the app is going to the service, and then I have the UI to handle all of the widget and then the view folders. So I break those into modules. So right now, let's say I have the backup module, the home module, the login, the search, the sharing, and the access viewer. So that's how I structure my app, and I think it's groupthink pretty well. Um, I try to create some boundary between those pages and group them together. So if I work on a feature, I know I just need to look into that folder with all these sub folders.
Is there a name for this kind of pattern? Feature based?
Yeah, I think it's feature
I'm not sure
based.
what you call that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I follow a similar style, right? If I'm making the backend, I do everything contextual, and then like I just basically mirror the same code that interacts with that backend on the same structure. So it's like if you're coming from the backend to the front end or front end to the backend, you can kind of have an idea where things should be. So
Correct.
that one I think is called contextual based rather than feature based, but basically a similar thing.
Is that what you use for your app, some for most of your app as well, or it's just depending on the requirement?
Yeah, so this is always like the biggest question is like how should you do stuff, right? I think when I first started my first Flutter app, I think I did like screens in one side and models in another. Like I kind of tried to model MVC because that was just what I'm used to from the past.
Hmm.
But I mostly develop my backends using Elixir, and they favor the contextual approach where you have everything. You have like a outside kind of public API as they call it, and that one will call into like some subfolders. There's like models and stuff. And so I basically model after that. And then like from there, actually I also break it down too, right? So, users will have like my login and log out and all this kind of stuff. But then I actually break it down even more. So like I have a users, maybe a folder within my side on both sides. But then I further break that one down. So like authentication, updates, etc., will be broken up into further features, and each one has its own block, things like that. So I break it down more in the Flutter side
Yeah.
than I do on the back end. But that's my style.
Yeah, I think with Bloc you can use the structure from the good CLI, right? Is that called?
Yeah, very good CLI, I believe it's called.
Very good CLI. Yeah, so it gives you a very structure based skeleton that you can start the app.
And very good CLI also has support for flavors, which is interesting. I just interviewed a guest, I think, last week or so that showed me about that.
Have you tried it yet?
Very good CLI or the flavors?
Very good CLI.
I haven't had to start any new projects in Flutter for a while since I learned about very good CLI, so I have not. But I think this is something I may take a look at because it does seem like it gives you a lot. And I also use Bloc, so it kind of like checks a lot of boxes for me. So I'm interested to check it out, but because I haven't had to start a brand new project in Flutter yet, then I haven't touched it.
I see. I see.
How about your side? Have you tried it yet?
No, I have not. I think to try that you have to somehow understand how Block works and to use it. And my knowledge of Block is limited, so that's why I came up with my own way of doing things. Eventually, I think refactor need to be done.
There's a really excellent video that helped me to understand Block and kind of the structure from ResoCoder.
Oh yeah,
Was fantastic. I might try to get him onto the show, but if you've seen that one, it's pretty cool. Like basically, I mean, the basic idea is just an event comes in, a state comes out. I mean, that's really the basics. And I treat the block like a controller,
I see.
and so that one just kind of talks to a repository and outputs the data. So if you're familiar with MVC, I would treat that block as like a controller, a state as basically the V, and model as a repository that does all the business logic inside of it that I can stub out, etc.
I see. Okay.
Maybe we can talk a little bit more about your background, right? So, how did you actually first get into programming to begin with?
Well, so I actually didn't really like programming when I was in school because I am electrical engineering by schooling. Uh, the extensive of programming I've done in school is embedded programming in C with embedded system, and I didn't like it a lot. But when I started my internship right after college, I got put in this project to do some programming work for a control system for one of the test fixture at my company. And I actually didn't really do straight up programming. It was PLC programming, so programmable logic control. So what you do is you put the logic gate to toggle the input and the output of the relay, which eventually turn into motion, the real world motion. And after I've done that project, I realized that this is fun. This is what I would like to do for the living. So I started to jump into free code game to learn more about programming. So I just churn along every day after I came home from work, and that's how I get into programming. And then eventually, there's a project in the company that require a mixture of electrical discipline plus software engineer to create this product. And there is a part of the product is to develop the mobile app as a Bluetooth control for a motor, and that's how I get more into mobile development. And then it's all start from there. I keep finding new things very uh, interesting, so I keep learning new things. Eventually I found Flutters, and I got hooked with Flutter. I really like Flutter.
Wait, sorry, I didn't quite hear about the Flutter. So you said you kind of fell into Flutter? Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah, so I use Ionic for the first ever mobile app that I developed. I found it very clunky in a way of developing the app and as well as distributing the app. When I found out Flutter, the hot reload just captured me right away. Just like, I need to have this. The fast feedback loop is what I die for.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's hard to imagine how can you create an app that is so heavy. I mean, if your mobile app looks like crap, even if it's good, people don't want to use it, right? That's like the crazy part. Or even for any app, not even just mobile, right? If it looks like crap, people think it's crap. So it's like perception. And how do I say? Yeah, and Ionic is such a pain, right? And I think basically all these JavaScript frameworks are really like I don't know, like they're like duct taped together. I just feel I don't know. Is that kind of your feeling too?
Yeah, it's a little bit hacky because you are doing the web way on the mobile app. So sometimes things work, but not consistently. Like it feel very good on one device, but then on the other device it's kind of out of place. So yeah, that was my feeling. And then the distribution is just a nightmare to produce a binary that you can eventually upload onto um, Google App Store and iOS. Oh, sorry, Google Play Store and iOS App Store. So that was the only project that I did with Ionic. Then I found Flutters, and I just like to learn about Flutter, man.
Yeah, I think I did a little bit of Ionic. Yeah, I did a long time ago, and I was like, oh, this is. I think the most annoying part about Ionic is it just looks so flat, if I can say like that. I don't know. Like I just feel like I don't know if that makes sense to you, but like when you look at you're like, I feel like this is not a mobile app at all. Like this is like yeah, it's definitely a web page. Like if you know about Ionic, you're like, okay, this is a web page. If you don't know, you're just like something's off, and I'm not quite sure what.
Yeah, it's more like a web page that running inside the shell of the app, and it's I think it's essentially that's what it is, right? So they are using a web view in order to and to put that into the app. Well, the app running the web view.
And I think that also really explodes the size of the file, no? I mean, embedding the JavaScript engine plus, I guess WebView doesn't really cost you much because you're using the native WebView, I think. But I think you need to embed the JavaScript or something, right? I don't think it's. I'm actually not too sure how the whole thing works, but I remember. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it translated the JavaScript into the native module, but a lot of the native module is community maintenance, and a lot of it is not working well. That from my personal experience, and that was 4 years ago when I worked with Flutter. Sorry, with Ionic. I don't know if it's getting better.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, have you ever tried doing a like native plugin? How do you call it, native plugin? So it's called a plugin, right? So have you ever actually done a plugin for Flutter before?
No, I have not. You mean the one that you have to write in either Kotlin or Swift, right? And then to integrate that into the Flutter.
Exactly. Yeah, that type.
Yeah, I have not, because most of the plugin that I found serve my needs, and yeah.
I have to say the process is a little bit too easy, if that makes sense. I don't know, like when I look at some of the plugins for like these frameworks, like you said, the Ionic, etc. I feel it's very hacky, but I did one for Flutter, and I was like, this is a little bit too easy. I feel like I'm missing something, but I wasn't. So I thought that was a lot of fun. Yeah. So after doing that, like, and actually, I feel like yeah, the plugins for Flutter are usually pretty tip top, but there is a couple of plugins that I used before that were not. But for me to open it up and make the changes, I thought was super simple. I was like, okay, this is dead simple. I'm not really a Swift developer. I'm not really a Java or a Kotlin developer, but those languages are pretty simple to pick up. And all I'm doing is just making a couple of small changes that I don't need to learn the language. It's just like, okay, this is spelled wrong or something like that. So I thought it was process was pretty nice and pretty easy. But the only thing that's really annoying is like, I'm sure you, I don't know if you ever ran into this yet, but I can imagine at some point you will. Some features are available on iOS or Android and not on the other platform, at least. You've ran into that already, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I ran into that already. Like some of one of the features that I got request for the app is for the live view of the live photo features on the iOS, and so that's specifically just for iOS. And then Samsung, I don't think it's Android, but Samsung, they have something very similar to the live photos. And if I have to support that, then I have to write two different plugins just to get that features.
Oh, you mean the ones that you're talking about the photos that like record a small video like around the picture, right?
Yep, it's like a 1 second. It's like a moving pictures.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know. Of course, yeah, that is annoying too. Also, like instant app kind of thing. Have you seen those before too?
Instant app. What is that?
So iOS came out with this, I think, a couple of versions ago, and Google's had this for quite a while, where it's like you can use the app without actually downloading it first.
Hmm.
Yeah, it could be interesting to you. Like, it's really useful for people who want to like entice people to download the app, or just have like a small amount of features. So I think iOS 13 came out with this, and but before that, so on Google it's called Instant App. I forgot what the name is on iOS, but iOS showed a demo where it's like, okay, if you want to rent something, sometimes they ask you to download the app, create an account, scan a QR code, and rent it, right? If you're just going to be there for a day, it doesn't make sense for you to download it and do all this kind of stuff. So what they do is they say, okay, scan this QR code. We're going to download a very, very small, like 5 megabyte app onto your device. 30 megabytes, I think it actually is. And that will just be enough functionality that you can actually use the app. And then if you so desire, then you could say, okay, give me the rest of the app, and it'll actually download the full app for you then. So it's like you can get the benefits of having the app for like the core set, and if you desire more, then you can actually buy into it more. Something like that. Maybe I'm wrong. Some of the audiences can tell me if I'm wrong. That's fine. But this is what I understand about the app.
Hmm.
You know, that could be interesting for people to kind of try out your app if you feel. But I mean, maybe like, okay, I want to share this with my family. They need to have the app in order to actually see it. They could just have an app that just feeds a link in and then checks out the videos or pictures that you took. Just an idea.
I think it's worked really well for services. Let's say for yeah, like for parking lot that has the app to pay. You don't need to download the app. Just yeah, use the
Exactly.
demo version. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're going downtown for a day, you can get a parking app. you just do it very quickly. If you're going to be consistently going downtown for work, you might want to actually download the real app, something like that. That's a really interesting idea. That could be interesting for your app. I don't know if it's worth it or not, because you do have to like have a 30 megabytes and etc. It's possible with Flutter, but I think you already know that it is going to be slightly bigger because you are adding in the engine, etc. Right?
Yeah.
So how I'm kind of curious though, right? So because people have probably worked with Google Photos before, they have a rough idea how that would experience would be like on mobile. How's the experience for Immich on web that you're working on that right now? Like, what am I actually allowed to do? Is it drag and drop picture upload, or how does this kind of work on the website?
Well, on the web, I just started working on the web last week. So right now, my goal is to have an interface that the people can view the the video and images that they backed up already. So that is the goal right now. Um, Uploading from the app, from the web app, is not hard. But I think the more challenging solution or the more challenging problem to solve is some people already have terabyte of images that they store somewhere on their machine, and somehow the app need to index those folder and to display them onto the app. So that is the more challenging problem that I have to solve. The web app is quite primitive for now. You can look at all the pictures that is displayed similar to how Google Photos display them. You can click on them and see the better version. And yeah, and with an admin interface that you can add the user onto your server.
So then your Nest.js app is actually serving the Flutter app, is that right? Or it's like they're really separate?
They're separate. So the Flutter app, well, on the web, I'm not actually using Flutter.
I thought you said you're looking at using Flutter Web for the front end. Maybe I misunderstood.
No, I actually, well, I did look at Flutter web, but then the thing that kind of keep me like not so sure is how to deploy it, because right now everything is deployed as a Docker container. So with the web app that I am using, it has its own server, so it's really easy to put it on a Docker container to run it. But for Flutter, that would require you to download the whole engine, right? To build it in order to have the output folder, and then eventually you serve it through a web server. So that is why I not so sure about you using Flutter on the web for specific this application, because of the self-hosted nature of the app.
Yeah, okay. But I mean, you could also probably use like Apache or Nginx or even probably Next.js to serve that static page, right? That's why I was kind of curious if you're doing something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The other thing too is I still feel like the Flutter web is not 100% there, although they say production ready, but it's getting there. Hot code reload's still missing. You know that, right?
On Flutter web,
Correct.
I thought it works. Maybe it doesn't work well.
No, it doesn't work at all. Is what I was told by many people, and I also thought it was actually there too. But we had Miriam on the show who works at Google as a PM for Flutter Web, and she confirmed to me that hot code reload is not working.
I just
So
tried last week when I kind of on the on the edge of the two technology. I think it works for me. Maybe when I integrate more features and more module, then it would work.
unless there's something that I don't know about, I also thought it was working for me too, but I believe it's not actually quite working. So, but in any case, if it does work, I mean, I don't think the experience is as good as it is for mobile and desktop, though.
Yeah, yeah, and well, one of the goal of the app is to make it really performance. So Flutter Web is not out. It's not out that long, so I don't know if it can solve a lot of the optimization issue while the web technology has been out there for so long. That is another reason that I go with traditional web technology to build out the web app.
So if you're like, do you have any recommendations if people actually want to host this thing? Like, how do you host it? It sounds like you're leaning towards Docker based kind of deployment.
Yep. So I have different container for different services. So I have the server, the backend. I have the microservices, which do all the machine learning stuff, and then I have the website uh, container. So it's actually really straightforward. You go into the repo, you pull it, and go into the Docker folder and run Docker compose. That's it.
What about all the files though, right? Like, because when I think about uploading files, usually I'm thinking I want to put this onto like S3 or something, but I'm guessing everything must be basically same file system based, right, for your application to work properly.
Correct. So right now you can specify a location on your server where the file will be uploaded, and it will be mounted onto the container. And that is how it is being used right now, because I kind of made a survey on the self-hosted community asking them for how would they like these photo and video to be backup. Should there be another layer of backup from the app? But most of people already have an established backing up solution. So as long as they can get the file out from the mobile phone, then they can perform their own backup, either to S3 or to another offsite location. So I leave that to the user.
Okay, I see. Are you planning to have some kind of model for like pricing so that you can help support your efforts, or is it just you're going to continue on this method and kind of prioritize your wife's features for over other people, and then building features that you think are also useful from people's suggestions?
Well, I think I don't have plan for monetize the app at all, because I've been using so many open source software, and it's a way to give back to the community. And yeah, so that is my thought when I developed the app. At first, I planned to put the app on the App Store for like $1.99 to support the yearly payment. But then I think that just make people not want to use it. So I just opened a donation channel for whoever that use the app and like it a lot, and then they want to support me as a token of appreciation. Then that's make me happy.
Have you got any financial support?
Yeah, actually, I got a lot of people bought me coffee, a lot of coffee, and then I create a donation channel through GitHub, and there are some people that actually donate monthly to me to keep me going.
That's pretty cool, right? I like the idea. I mean, I understand like Google's kind of known for turning things off after some time, and you don't really know what's going to happen with Google Photos. And yeah, maybe someday you don't want to have your stuff on Google. You don't want your things to be indexed, and you don't know what they're going to do with your data, right? So
Yep.
to be able to have your own type of service similar to it, I think is a great idea. The only thing that's annoying is just the maintenance and DevOps of running our server is the annoying part. So that's the negative.
Yeah, that is, so this is geared toward people with more technical knowledge of running system. Um, so my u- my user group is not that big. Let's say the community on Reddit is like 150,000 people for the self-hosted community. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe 200,000. Uh, but let's say that's the whole world, right? The community is small comparing to the others, and yeah. So this is for someone that really privacy focused and they want to have full control of their data. Yeah, so it's geared to a very niche user group.
Yeah, I totally understand. I see that side. It's just like, be prepared, right? Everybody's say, oh, it's cool. I got my own Google Photos. Yeah, but no free lunch, right? There's going to be some effort on your side. And if you're willing to take that responsibility, then I think, go ahead, but just be aware. I mean, have you found any, like, I'm curious, has that been a problem for you? Or have you found, like, what has been like the biggest problems for you in terms of making this app and kind of running it?
Um, right now, it's actually just finding time to work on it is the biggest issue because the app is quite ambitious and there are a lot of small pieces in there. And now um, I started to get a lot of feedback from the people that actually use the app. So I have to go back, fix those bugs, or to refactor the app and add more features. So just having time to work on it is the biggest issue right now. The technical challenge is there, but I don't think it's very hard to solve because I don't aim to be 100% Google photo quality in terms of machine learning. Here is more like the open ended. So the way I design the system is to plug and play for some module, if that makes sense. Let's say you have a model that you train for your object detection. So you can use the base model of the app, but it's not very accurate. But you can extend it that to use your model to run all of the learning stuff that geared toward your use case. So that is how I develop the apps.
Yeah, for me, I think the one of the hard parts is this machine learning stuff. I don't know enough about it. I just know the word machine learning, and that's as much as I can understand so far. When I have a chance, I might take a look at it, but it's just like a mystery box to me.
Yeah, it's hype, but it's hard. It's math. If you're actually doing it, but if you build an application, it's just might not be that bad.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, I think actually, yeah, my math skills are not that great. So, I mean, people would think because you can program computers, you're great at math. Not really. I let the computer do all the math for me. And if you want to know how I sort stuff, I do dot sort. So, only if there's a big issue, then I'll actually take the time to take a look at it. Why is it so slow? But usually I just let it be. And maybe the client will complain to me why it's so slow. And I'll say, network. But sometimes it is, right? But that makes it seem like I'm just taking a cop out. But no, sometimes it is, right? Like, for instance, over here, like sometimes you're in places where the network is not good. And, if it's consistently not good in many places, obviously there's a problem. And I'll try to take a look at it to see if I can figure it out. But you need to get data, right? And also it's about like the, what do you call that? Time to market. You know that too, right? You can make your app image, spot on with Google, right? But that's going to take you years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just not worth it. But you can, make a very small subset of the feature, and it's going to be enough.
Yeah, just filling the void that the mobile app aspect of display right now they don't have one that good enough to serve just a simple purpose of backing up photos. So that is the initial goal, and then eventually the app keep moving forward with additional nice features.
Oh, great, cool. I'm happy that you're working on this. It's a pretty cool project. Again, I can see the market for it. I'm not too sure if I fit into that market, but maybe someday. I like to lean on other people because I'm lazy and busy. It's two issues I cannot really get over. Is there anything else you wanted people to know about the project, how to get involved, or how to use it, or even anything, or even your roadmap?
Most of the info is on the repository so people can read it, and it's still in heavy development right now, so there'll be a lot of changes. That's something that people need to look out for. uh, but I have a production user at home, so I try to not break the app and lose all the data because that'd be bad. But yeah, Just be careful of that. That is my only disclaimer. But overall, people with development with software development skill can always jump in and to help answering question, open a PR to testing, just to do bug report is a really good help for me already.
Fantastic, great. It's been great to have you on. I mean, maybe we'll have you on again, maybe for your next project, or if you make some major updates to the app and let people know what's going on with it, because I'm really loving the idea and looking forward to seeing this continued on.
Okay. Would you like to see the app in action for a little bit?
Oh, yeah, sure. If you have a demo for us, please go ahead.
Yep. Share my screen.
Just not everybody at home is able to see, so you may want to just speak loudly what you're doing so people know.
Okay. So here I have the Flutter app running right here. This is the sign-in screen. And so you have to put in the server endpoint, because I don't know what is the endpoint of your server. So this is here. Once you log in, it's look exactly like Google Photo. You can do really fast scrolling. Then you can view. This is MOV, so it's not playing on the emulator of Android, but it will play on the emulator of iOS. So that is the one thing about the MOV. Then you can looking at the pictures. You can view where the picture is being taken, things like that. Also, you can download the pictures to your phone. Then you can do the search. So it's grouped by location with some reverse geo coding, and then it has the object detection that running, and then eventually output that as the text search. So you can do the text search in here. You can type, and then it's just gonna pull out all of the possible result. You click on that, it show you that. And you can create the album to share with other people on your server by selecting all of the backup of asset that you have uploaded. And then for the uploading, you can choose different album to be either included or excluded, and then it's just gonna upload the unique one. So people
How do you know which one's unique, which one's not? Do you hash it to make sure it's unique?
So it's unique based on the ID of the asset on your device. So there is no duplication of the pictures or the video, and that's make that unique. Do I answer your question?
Yeah, I didn't know there's an ID on the device for the picture, but that can make some sense.
Yeah, they have the ID for both iOS and Android, so you can use that to determine which picture is unique or not. For example, if you have like a WhatsApp folder, you don't want to upload that, then you just exclude that from the backup process, and in here you can just run the backup to the server. That it will show up on here. So yeah, that is the mobile app right now at this stage. Try to make the UI as similar as possible to Google Photos. And then here is the web app. Yeah, here's the web app. To show everything that has been backed up in here. So very quick loading. And then it's also show the it's also show the information of the pictures. It's under construction right now, so I want to have the photo album in here, similar to Google Photo, and also the features that's similar to the mobile app, and you can create the user that be able to log into your server. So that is the stage the app is currently at.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I mean, it looks really polished. I quite like it.
Thank you.
I was just curious if you had an upcoming roadmap of features that you plan to bring out soon.
I have the roadmap in mind, and based on the current PR, the feature request from other users, but I don't have the concrete one yet. Right now is mostly trying to mimic the simple features from Google Photos first, because those are the ones that people use the most.
Okay, makes sense. Well, it's pretty cool, right? I think it's pretty cool. I love the idea. Is there anything else you wanted to say before we start to sign off?
Well, thank you for having me. This is my first ever podcast that I did, so if I've didn't give you a lot of information, my bad.
No, it's okay. This is your time to shine, right? I'm on every episode, so let you have your 1 hour of fame, right? So
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed yourself and you're proud of what you built, and you keep working, keep moving on with it, right? One of the things I think is a good validation is if a podcast wants to interview you for your work, then I think your work is kind of validated. There's lots of projects out there in Flutter, but I don't pick everybody out there and ask them to come on. Because you built an Instagram clone, I'm not interested. Everybody's doing that. What else are you doing that's actually useful? This app actually has usefulness to it, right? So that's why I asked you to come on.
Thanks for the kind words.
Oh, just being honest. That's what I do. So thank you for your hard work, and thanks for making the time to come on. I really appreciate it. It's not easy, so thank you so much.
Yep, no problem, Alan.